Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ife Artistry. If this is your first time seeing my video, you are highly welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so very much for always watching my videos. Okay guys, so in today's video I'm going to be transforming this gorgeous lady. So I'm going to be doing her makeup. She's a dark skin, and you guys always request for dark skin makeup. Okay guys, so I start by cleaning her face with micellar water. So I clean to remove any dirty or hidden bacteria on her skin, and after that I'm going to be moving over to moisturizing her face, and I'm using the Cetaphil moisturizer, as you can see. So I put this moisturizer like generously on her face, and I press that into her skin. And for today's video I'm going to be using two moisturizers. The second one is the Zaron hydrating serum. So I use two moisturizers to get enough hydration on the skin, you know, like when you get the face hydrated enough, it gives you like the makeup can stay for a very long time during the course of the day. Okay guys, so after that I used my Merak skin prep on her face, on her T-zones, just to control her the oil or the sweat that is going to be coming out of her skin. And after that I mattified her brows, and that was just it for mattifying. I used the mattifying product, and then I sprayed on her face. Okay guys, so I'm using moving over to foundation. I'm going to be using the, honestly I can't remember the foundations I used. Well, I think I used the Blot Beauty foundation in the shade Rosette, and one other foundation, honestly I can't remember, because she's very dark skinned, and I know that dark skin, when I'm working on a dark skin, I normally use that foundation, the Rosette, the Blot Beauty Cosmetics foundation in the shade Rosette. Yeah, I definitely mix that with another foundation. Okay guys, so after doing that, I blended everything well into her skin, and then I'm using the concealer, the Nuban Beauty concealer. This is in the shade 043. I place that in the inner corners of her face because like she is like not too dark. Sorry, she's dark, but yeah, I'm using that very shade. And after that I'm using the Younger Beauty Cosmetics concealer again in the shade MC whatever, but it's in the shade 3. I don't know, the third one. Yeah, so after putting that on, I added the the Zikel Cosmetics concealer in the shade Zikel Cafe. That is a like a darker shade, you know. I just added just a little bit of it in the outer part, then I blended everything together. After blending everything, then I move into I'm using a contour shade, but guys, like this my contour shade is not really contouring anything, because placing it on the face it was just looking like the foundation. I don't know how I did that honestly, but when I was editing this video I realized that the shade that I used for the contour was not it. So I guess when I'm going to be doing the powder contour, I'm going to make that more pronounced. Okay, so after that I equally decide to emphasize on the nose contour, even though like I said the shade I'm using here really is not really very dark enough to be her contour shade, you know. So one thing I noticed on my client is that her body, not her neck, her body is actually lighter than her face and her neck. Like if you look down you see that her body is light. Okay, so I'm equally going to try my best and mash up her tone to actually match her body. Okay guys, so after that I'm going to be going over to the blush. I'm using of course the Becharmageless Cosmetics Slip Stains. This is a red shade and a pink shade. Honestly I don't really know their names, and I was not really caring to know their names, but this is like they have this one red shade and one pink shade. I think I'm going to have to go and find their names, because this is mostly what I use. Okay guys, so after doing that I begin to blend everything into, I blended it into the skin, and after blending then I have to go back to my concealer that is left in the under eyes, because when I was blending the under eyes I was not really blending everything in. Like I left some concealers there to just give me the coverage I need. And after that I came back. Now after blending everything is in place, and I'm sure there is no creasing lines remaining in her under eyes. I have to go get my setting powder from, of course, Merak Cosmetics. That's the setting powder. So I'm using the Merak Cosmetics setting powder in the shade it's not ginger, in the shade cinnamon. I think it should be cinnamon. If it's not cinnamon then it's their darkest shade, which I can't remember the name right now. Okay, but I think it's cinnamon anyway. So I'm using that very shade to set my highlighted areas. I'm just carefully or gently, you know, setting every place, you know, to make sure I set, because once you've set and you are sure that you set very well, you are sure that you have secured everything you did on that face, except your client tears up, like that makeup is going to stay intact. If you have like did your the highlighting and then you use powder and a good setting powder and set it, except the client tears up, that face is secured. Even if sometimes when they tear up, like it's still secured up, I'm telling you. Yeah, so moving on, I'm going to be setting the rest of the face with powder. I'm using the Becharmageless Cosmetics powder palette. They really have a nice powder palette. So I'm using that to set everywhere on the face. I'm equally going to be setting my contour, her contour now. Yeah, even though the contour did not really contour anything. So I'm going to be using a darker shade of powder, you can see, to actually set it. So the darker shade of powder is going to make it pop, you know, yeah. So after that, I'm equally going to be going across the face. This is how I do my makeup. So like I place my contour like a quarry, you know, round her head, round her forehead. Yeah, exactly, round her forehead. Then I'm equally going to be using the powder contour to equally run through this her nose contour, just to emphasize more on that, because like I said, the cream contour didn't really do the job like that well. Okay guys, after that I'm going to be using my Zulu palette to make her blush, to apply. I'm using the shade in this Zulu palette as blush, so I'm going to be using the burnt orange and the red mixed together. Sorry, I'm not showing that, like, yeah, I'm not showing them, but that is it. The Zulu palette in the I'm using the shade red and the burnt orange in there, so I'm mixing the both of them together. The reason is because she's a dark skinned, so red, just a little bit of red and burnt orange is really good for their blush. Okay guys, so after that I'm going over to her brows. I'll first of all tame down the brows with the my hair wax. I'm just going to be using that to tame it down, because I would want the hair to be at a place, guys. So after taming it down, I'm going to be setting with my setting powder. That's the Beauty by AD setting powder in the shade what? I can't remember. All right guys, so I always mention that shade in all my videos, because this is setting powder I used to, I don't know why, but I just love to use that setting powder for my for the brows. Honestly, I just bought it for the brows. Honestly, like I love I just love how it is, you know. Okay guys, so moving on, I'm going to be outlining her brows. So I have my brow gel, the brow gel in the Hega and Esther brow gel in the shade Nubia. I mixed it with my Zaron gel liner. Okay, I mixed it with this gel liner because it is not as dark as I would want, so I mixed it. Even after mixing it, I'm looking at this video, this thing is not looking very dark for me. Like I was thinking, like for me it would have been more darker than this, because except if it's probably because of the way the camera captured it, because I think had it been, it's not as dark as it should be, I would have actually you know, made it more darker. But at the end of the day, sometimes the camera actually tells the truth more than your eyes could see. Okay, so I don't really know, but I could have actually made that liner darker by adding more dark liner, whatever. Yeah. Okay guys, so after doing that, I begin to fill in the brows with my pencil. That's the Davis pencil in the shade 03. So I'm filling it in, and I'm just gently filling that in. So I'm going to fill in and make sure that I'm giving like strokes, even though so when I'm working on a dark skin, most of the time, don't just do the strokes. Like I'm supposed to shade so that the shades will come out. You can see, like, because at this ending part it was not as dark as it should be, so I had to equally add the mixture I did so that it becomes more darker, because I needed it to be dark, if you understand what I mean. Yeah, because she's dark, so her brows need to actually come out. Okay guys, so after doing that, I'm using my flat angled brush from Merak Cosmetics. I'm using that to highlight, conceal her brows. I was thinking about something else. Okay, so I'm using that to conceal her brows. I'm just going to quietly conceal the brows, and equally the concealer I'm using is the Zikel cosmetic concealer, the Zikel cosmetics concealer. Yes, so I'm going to be using that to conceal the under part of the brows, and equally I use the lighter shade on her brow bone to make the brows lift, to lift the brows definitely. Okay guys, so after doing that in the first part of the brows, I'm going to go over to the second side. I'm going to equally do the same thing, conceal and just make sure everything is neat. So while concealing the brows guys, I am always very careful, like really extremely careful, because I don't want to make a mess for any reason. I don't want to draw my brows and then feel like, oh yeah, there is a big mistake, I have to go back and correct it. No, that's what I don't like. So I'm always very careful in doing everything I do on the face. Okay, I'll rather like take my time like than to be making silly mistakes. Okay guys, so after doing that, I went over to the other side, of course, because that's the place I can stand to conceal. You know, one funny thing with makeup, right? You just have to do what works for you. I'm telling you the truth. Do what do you like. Honestly, I can't conceal the upper part of the brows by standing like the place I stand to do the makeup. I have to go over to that side, and I have to keep doing that because that is what works for me. Okay guys, so after doing this, I'm going to be using the I'm going to be using a powder palette. So I decided to use powder that have this a little bit of yellow effect on her brow bone. I don't know why, but I think because she's dark, she's dark skin. I just decided to use, I feel like it's going to pop my eyeshadow, and I think it did. But let's get to the eyeshadow powder and see if it actually did pop the eyeshadow. Okay guys, so after doing that, I have to bring back the cinnamon, the Merak cosmetic setting powder to bake her face, because I was about to do her eyeshadow and I need to bake the face. Okay, so I'm putting on the setting powder on her face, just carefully placing it there. Remember, the setting powder is actually translucent setting powder. It's not going to leave any cast. It's not going to like remain on the face. When I'm done with what I'm doing, I'm going to dust it out, and I promise you it's going to go out without leaving any product remaining there. Like, that is one good thing I love about translucent setting powders. Okay, so I'm going to quickly use it and make a reverse contour on her cheeks, like, just to reverse the contour definitely. All right guys, so after doing that, I think at this point everything is okay. I move over to the eyeshadow. I'm using the Becharm white eyeshadow base for my eyeshadow base. Okay guys, so I'm going to be placing that on her eyelid. I just carefully placed everything good, and after that I'm going to smudge them out, especially removing the harsh lines on the eyes and equally blending it very well to make sure everything is okay. I don't want to start building my eyeshadow on a very rough space. If you do that, you're not going to achieve something so great. So after doing that, then first of all, the first thing I do for eyeshadow is to create the transition, right? So I mostly create transitions before I go into the eyeshadow. I don't know why, but that's me. So first of all, start creating my transition. Why? Sometimes I should equally do the main eyeshadow then do the transition, but I think I'm already used to doing transition. Of course I can do that anyway, but I'm already used to, especially when I'm making videos. I would really want to do this process so that at least if somebody is watching my video, the person would not get confused at some point. Okay guys, so moving on, I was done with placing the first shade for this transition. So I used the light brown for the first shade. I think it's a light brown and then I'm moving over to a very darker brown, like a very darker brown. You can see that it's looking darker, so I needed to add something more darker because of the eyeshadow look I was going for. Okay guys, so something funny actually happened. So I finished placing this particular eyeshadow that I decided to use on her. It was, I wouldn't even say, like, honestly I don't know. As I'm looking at this right now, is somehow like this, I wouldn't say red, I wouldn't say I don't know, pinky, slight something on her eyes, and she looked at it and she said she does not like the shade. you know, when you want to do the face and like the person is like, oh yeah, do you, and then afterwards she looked in the mirror and she's like, no, I don't like the colors. Like, and this is a pigmented eyeshadow, if you guys know what is a pigmented eyeshadow. So, and she doesn't like it, guys. She was going for her shoot. Like, I needed to change that because I wouldn't want her not to be happy, because if you finish doing your job and the client does not like just one bit of whatever you did, it's going to make her looking, she will keep looking at this thing and she's be like, I don't like this. Like, I was looking at this eyeshadow, it was popping. Like, I was telling her this is fine. She said no, she does not like it. No, she does not like it. She was not really like so bad about it. She was just telling me like she doesn't like the color, like not the eyeshadow, she doesn't like the color I placed in the inner part of her eyes, you know. I don't know. And I was telling her like, it is looking good on you. She's like, no. Yeah, she's like, okay, yeah, even it's looking good, maybe I can manage it. But you know, when somebody begins to say like, I can manage it, I don't want to hear that. So after doing my lining and you know, she still talked about it again, I'm like, you know what, don't worry, let me change it. So what I did was just to add another shade of eyeshadow on top of this, because this is a pigmented eyeshadow. You can see the way it's popping, right? It's actually very neat and beautiful. I just had to add something else on top because it's pigmented eyeshadow and it stayed. So I added another pigmented eyeshadow on top of it. Just I gently, I didn't clean it out. So if you even want to do like a change of eyeshadow look, probably on your clients or your model or your brides, you can actually do it if it's pigmented, because like I tried this, you know how we do like change of eyeshadow looks. Most of the times when I do change of eyeshadow, I think I try to remove some products, but at this point I didn't remove anything. Like, I wish she's gonna close her eyes. Like, she chose a shade that I used, you know. So like she chose something like more lighter than what, you know, we had. The first shade was a bit reddish and pinkish. You can see like the color is out. She wanted it nude, plain nude, like no additional colorful anything, like, you know. So I just added something on top of it. It is not as neat as it could have been if I did that from the onset. Like, from the beginning it could have been more better than this, but at the end of the day, like, I looked at her eyes and I equally still liked what I saw, you know. Okay guys, so moving on, we are done with that, and she was happy. She looked at it as, yeah, this is actually what I want, you know. Yeah, so a satisfied client, of course, all the time. So like, give them what they want. Of course I do ask anyway, what do you want, what look do you want, you know. But I think like she's like, you know, if I trust you, do your thing. But that is it. Okay guys, so, after doing the whole thing, I set her face, I removed the excess setting powder on her face, and then I just re-emphasized everything on her face. And then right now I'm just using my cheek glaze to, you know, emphasize and add a little bit of glow on her face, guys. Okay, so after doing that, I am using my Morphe spray to set the whole makeup. I'm just spraying that all over her face. And after that, I'm going to be using my fan to dry it down. I'm just gonna dry and dry and dry and make sure everything is cool, you know. And after that, I'm adding my glow from my Art Cosmetics glow palette, guys. I always say this in my videos: if you're not in Nigeria and you cannot access some of these products, you can actually use what you have. What matters the most is the skill you have. I promise you that. If I can work with Nigerian brands, you can work with any brand from anywhere, honestly. Nigerian brands are not the highest, like high-end brands, so you can use like good brands and still achieve a nice makeup. I promise you that. Okay guys, so after doing that, I went into her lips. I am using a dark brown shade as her lip lining. I'm just lining the lips with that. So I'm going for full lips, of course. Most of the times I opt to go for full lips. Full lips makes sense for me all the time. I'm telling you, like, I don't think I can actually be okay if I didn't overline somebody's lips, except the person has like, except it's an ombre lips. Sometimes I just try to shape it. So when I'm shaping, I sometimes cut out some parts because I'm trying to give it a shape. Or the person have a very, very extremely full lips, then, you know, I'm going to try and shape it to give me a more nice looking something. Okay guys, so moving on, I'm using this shade, this nude shade, because the client wants it nude. Like when she said nude, she meant nude, no colors and all that. So I just requested that from her, that I should add like a little bit of pinkish shade from her lipstick, from her lips, and she's like, okay, so let's see how it goes. Of course, me, I have a coconut head. I know they hear word, because had it been I used to hear word, yeah, of course I would have just gone for mad nude. So I'm like, yeah, let me add something colorful, you are going to like it. She's like, okay. So that's why I opted for this light pink shade, because I'm like, oh, she's dark and she already have a very natural like nude eyes. Let me just add something a little bit, you know, colorful, that is not much on her eyes, on her lips. And she accepted, and then we did it. So I added something, a little bit of pink on the lips, and she was in love with the lips. Yes, that one she didn't ask me to change it. Well, I really do like clients, you know, that actually know what they want, guys. So we did that, and then we set, and everything was good, guys. This was the end of the lips and the look. I hope you love it as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching my videos. See you next time. Bye.